to understand. And oh, my beautifully unhinged survivor, I really need you to lean in for this. That last night, while you were probably doing something devastatingly mundane, maybe scrubbing a plate, doom-scrolling through someone else's happiness, lying awake with that strange hum behind your sternum you keep pretending is heartburn. There was a conversation happening about you. Not a passing mention, not some, "Hey, whatever happened to what's their face?" No, no, no. A serious conversation. The kind where someone's voice dropped to a whisper like they were defusing a bomb. Where the person listening set down their fork and forgot they were hungry. Where the whole room tilted sideways so hard that if you'd been standing on the other side of that wall, you'd have felt the plaster sweat. And here's what nobody bothers to tell you about those conversations. They weren't shredding your name for sport. Not this time. This time, someone who loves them, someone stitched into their life at the seams, someone who's watched them circle the drain for months, grabbed them by the shoulders and said, "You need to stop. You need to stop right now before this eats you alive." I need you to marinate in that for a second, my delightful little chaos magnet, because you've been sensing it, haven't you? That invisible anchor dragging through your chest. Stop the noise. I've got a secret for you. Stop reliving the humiliation and start engineering your revenge. My 73-page guide, The Evolution of the Anomaly, is locked and loaded. Grab it in the description or pinned comment of this video. Keep that link open. Let's get back to the real meat of this. That radar ping telling you someone is still orbiting your name, like a moth headbutting a porch light it can't quit. You wake up some mornings, and before your eyes even crack open, you feel it. This old, sticky gravity, like someone's been tugging on a wire knotted to your spine all night. And you've tried to talk yourself out of it. You've tried to file it under normal. I'm just tired. I'm just anxious. I'm just inventing problems. But you're not. You are not inventing this. You've been registering their obsession like a second pulse. And last night, that obsession finally ran face first into a wall. Someone who cares about them, genuinely, not performatively, sat them down and delivered the diagnosis they've been dodging. They are spiraling out. They are making themselves look absolutely unhinged. And if they take one more step toward you, it's over. It's over. Let me get granular here, because you deserve the specifics, my sweet architect of survival. This isn't some vague cosmic fortune cookie. This is flesh and bone. This person, your saboteur, your underminer, the one who's been running a quiet little campaign to brand you as unstable, dramatic, or too much. They have a confidant, a best friend, maybe a sibling, maybe someone who's been riding shotgun through every bad decision. And that person finally snapped. They finally said, "I can't sit here and watch you self-destruct anymore. You are not thinking straight. You are not reading the room. You've gotten so consumed with making them look bad that you forgot to check what you look like yourself." And here's what's absolutely chef's kiss about this whole thing. Your saboteur didn't even push back at first. They just sat there. Because somewhere underneath all that bravado, all that theater, all that main character energy, they knew. They know. They know they've lost the thread entirely. They know they've been pouring more gasoline on your shadow than building anything real for themselves. And that confession, the fact that someone from their own inner circle told them to stand down, that's not a suggestion, my resilient little phoenix of petty survival. That's a warning. That's the cosmos borrowing a human mouth to say, one more move, and the fallout is no longer yours to manage. Absolutely breathtaking. Speechless. I want you to clock the timing here, because I keep catching this signal around March. Specifically mid-March. Not in some crystal ball way, in a real check your calendar way. Maybe you've got a birthday hovering around there. Maybe they do. Maybe that's when something cracked open last year, or when something's about to crack open this year. But here's what matters. They have been given the warning, and they are not going to listen. I can feel that with full clarity. They will not. They will perform the whole contrition scene, nod along, maybe squeeze out a tear, serve up a little plate of humility. Say, "You're right, I've been unhinged." But the second they're alone again, the old programming boots right back up. The resentment, the compulsion to prove they were right about you. The ego that would rather torch every bridge than whisper, "I misjudged you." And that's why this is so hazardous for them. Because when someone ignores a warning like this, when they keep pressing after being told to stop, they are no longer just stumbling. They are choosing. And you know, I know, you know, and choices carry weight. You've probably clocked that they've been moving strange lately, more erratic, more desperate. They post things that feel aimed at you, but fizzle on arrival. They crowbar your name into conversations that have zero to do with you. And they've got this twitchy need to steer the story, to make sure everyone gets the real version of who you are. But here's what's actually unfolding. The costume is tearing. Not your costume, you're not wearing one, my gorgeously unbothered masterpiece. Theirs. They've spent so long performing a version of themselves, the wounded one, the innocent one, the actual victim of this saga, and the stitching is giving out. People are clocking it. Friends are creating distance. Family members are trading glances across the dinner table like, "Are you seeing this too?" And the more they try to patch the fabric, the louder the ripping gets. You don't even have to lift a finger. That's the part that must be absolutely wrecking them. You're just over here existing, healing on the low, showing up however you show up. And somehow that alone is enough to make them come apart at the seams. Because your existence, just you being you, is a spotlight, my beloved spotlight they never auditioned for. And spotlights don't flatter everyone. Let me walk you through their headspace for a moment, because I think you need to understand what this is costing them. This isn't about payback anymore. They wake up and their first thought isn't gratitude or calm. It's you. Not in a tender way, in a consuming way. They replay old arguments on a loop, rehearsing lines they should have delivered. They check your profiles, your stories, peer through that little window into your world, hunting for evidence that you're miserable. And when they don't find it, when you look fine, or worse, happy, it wrecks their entire day. They can't lock in. They start friction with people who actually love them. They carry this low-frequency rage they can't discharge because there's no legitimate target anymore. Legitimate. Legitimate. And at night, when the noise dies and the distractions peel away, they feel the truth. Feel it. They are losing, not because you outplayed them, but because they are outplaying themselves. Their own fixation has become a cage. And the worst part? They know it. Somewhere deep down, in those honest seconds before sleep, they know they've shape-shifted into someone they wouldn't even want to grab coffee with. But admitting that would require ego death. And they're not ready to flatline yet. So instead, they double down. They have another conversation, not with the friend who warned them, but with someone who'll co-sign their delusion. Someone who'll say, "Yeah, you're right, that person is toxic." And for a few hours, that feels like oxygen. It feels like proof. But then the validation evaporates because it's synthetic. It's not real. And they're left again with the same hollowness, the same fixation, and the same quiet, gnawing awareness that they've become the antagonist in their own storyline. That's why this is their final warning. Not because the universe is vindictive, but because the universe is done watching them injure themselves, trying to injure you. The shield around your life right now isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's simply this. Their ammunition cannot reach you anymore. Every insult they hurl, every lie they engineer, every little plot to make you look small, it's slamming into an invisible barrier. And then it's ricocheting, always, right back onto them. You might have already spotted the ricochet in action. Maybe their health has been weird. Nothing catastrophic, just off. Headaches that won't clock out. Fatigue that doesn't add up. Or maybe it's their relationships. People are fading out. They feel isolated, even in a packed room. Or maybe it's just this grinding sense that nothing is clicking anymore. The momentum dried up. The spark went dark. And they can't diagnose why. Because from their vantage point, they're the one who got done dirty. They're the casualty. How dare you move forward? How dare you not collapse? How dare you just exist as if they never had leverage over you? That's the part that demolishes them, my unshakable little force of nature. Not your revenge, your indifference. Not your fury, your calm. You're not feeding them the reaction they need to keep breathing. And without that reaction, their whole screenplay falls apart. I want you to register the shift that's happening right now, in this moment, as these words hit your ears. Something in the atmosphere around your name has changed. People who never gave you a second look are starting to tune in. Not in some creepy surveillance way, in a curious way. They're asking about you. They're wondering what you're building. They're noticing that you carry yourself differently than you used to. There's a density to your presence now, a rootedness that wasn't there a year ago. And the person who tried so hard to bury you, they see it too, and it terrifies them. Because they assumed once they stepped away, you'd dissolve. Instead, you've become more visible, more magnetic, more obviously someone who is going somewhere. And they are cemented in the mess of their own engineering, watching you ascend, knowing that they accidentally welded the rungs without meaning to. Every attack they launched just became a foothold you didn't even realize you were using. Let me tell you about the conversation that happened last night. The real one. Not the one where the friend delivered the warning. That was just the opening act. The real conversation happened after, when they were alone. When they sat in their car, or their bedroom, or their bathroom with the fan cranked so nobody would hear them break. And they talked to themselves. They argued with themselves. They tried to justify everything one more time. And then something fractured. Not dramatically. Quietly. A hairline crack in the dam of denial they've been maintaining. And for the first time in months, maybe years, they saw themselves without the filter. Not as the hero, not as the casualty, just as a person who burned an absurd amount of fuel, trying to steer something they never had the right to touch. And that recognition hurt worse than any argument you ever had, because it rose up from the inside. And you can't project an inside voice onto anyone else. Now, here's where you need to stay sharp, my brilliant, battle-tested survivor. Because when someone hits that point, that raw, peeled-open, ego-fractured point, they typically do one of two things. They either surrender and begin the slow, unglamorous grind of becoming better, or they panic. And the panic manifests as one more move, one last frantic grab for control, a smear campaign, a theatrical confrontation, A bizarre, out-of-character message engineered to bait you into reacting. That's what you need to be clocking. That's the one more move I'm flagging for you. Not because it will damage you. It won't. Not really. But because it will be the move that finishes them. The move that torches the last bridge. The move that makes everyone still sitting on the fence finally see the full picture. You don't want to be standing anywhere near that detonation. You don't want to catch any of that shrapnel. So what do you do? Nothing. That's the brutal part, actually. You do absolutely nothing. You don't block them unless your own peace demands it. You don't respond. You don't post thinly veiled content pointed in their direction. You don't interrogate mutual friends about what they're whispering. You just live. You go to work. You laugh at something dumb on your phone. You take a walk and notice how the light bends through the branches. You become so quietly, devastatingly alive that anyone scouting for a reaction finds nothing but the hum of your own stillness. And that stillness is louder than any rebuttal you could construct. That stillness is the closing statement, because it says, I'm no longer cast in this production with you. You're performing to an empty theater now. And honestly, that's the most commanding position you will ever occupy. The person who tried to dismantle you is now standing in the wreckage of their own construction, scanning for someone to pin it on, and finding only their own shadow staring back. The people who bought their narrative are slowly, awkwardly realizing they were fed fiction. The story they assembled is buckling, not because you attacked it, but because it was never anchored in anything real. Truth doesn't need a defense team. It just waits. And eventually, always, it's the only structure still standing. I need you to feel this in your body right now, okay? Take a breath. Let your shoulders release, because you have been bracing for a collision that isn't coming. You have been gripping for an aftershock that already passed. The ground is still. They shook it. They cracked it. They've got no seismic energy left. And you're still here, still intact, still becoming someone they can no longer reach. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's just what happens when someone chooses themselves over a war. You chose yourself. Maybe not flawlessly, maybe not all at once, but you chose. And that choice has been constructing this fortress of protection around you, stone by stone, every single day. So let them have their final warning. Let them have their serious conversation. Let them burn rubber and exhaust their allies, and incinerate the last scraps of goodwill people still extended them. None of that grazes you anymore. You are not in their gravitational field. You are in your own. And your field is expanding. New faces are arriving. New doors are swinging open. New versions of yourself are surfacing. Ones that don't even carry the muscle memory of the old damage. The only thing left for you to do